दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायामीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ Verse number 70. स्पष्टशब्दादियुक्तेषु भौतिकत्वम् अतिस्फुटम् अक्षादावपि शास्त्रयुक्तिभ्याम् अक्षादावपि तच्छास्त्रयुक्तिभ्याम् अवधार्यताम्। स्पष्टशब्दादियुक्तेषु भौतिकत्वम् अतिस्फुटम्. So we are now in a process. It's amazing. You see, we have never thought that the subtle body, whether it is physical or not, we keep on saying like that. We say that it is also made up of subtle elements. But basically the question against this judgment is, see, if it is made up of elements, it must have a gunas, right? It must have attributes, shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, etc. should be there. And then if they are there, it will be perceived by the senses. Because senses actually, perceive the attributes of the elements, and thereby a object is perceived. So, if the subtle body also made up of elements, then it should have attributes. If it has attributes, then definitely our sense organ should have perceived it. But it's not available. And therefore, it is a very amazing thing that how can you prove the subtle body is basically having elements? It's made up of elements. Maybe the subtle body may not be there at all. That could be the thing, because what is available to the senses, you can say it is, and this is a gross world. And of course, your sense organ definitely perceive the gunas, the attributes, and thereby the elements, and thereby an elemental object. That's okay. But the subtle body, and that's how science doesn't accept. Science does not accept a mind other than the brain. Science says this brain is a mind. Science does not accept ears other than the eardrums. Science does not accept the eyes other than the eyeballs. For them there is no subtle body. Because if it should be proved, it should be proven. If it is not proven, they will not accept. And that is okay. And therefore, basically, this is the question here. Is the mind basically bhautikam or abhautikam? Is the subtle body is made up of elements or it is not made up of elements? Well, and if it is made up of elements, then only it will, it's the serve the purpose in Vedanta. We'll see that. So then how does one prove that, so this is, basically this Buddhist, let's not talk about scientist, they will not accept, that's another thing. For a Buddhist, the mind is basically consciousness. That is how their Kshanika Vada has come. Kshanika Vada has come means they say the consciousness or Atma is Kshanika. That is Kshanika Vada. Why they call consciousness is a Kshanika? Because that is what the experience is. Basically, your thought is a conscious entity, right? Your thought is whatever you are perceiving, right? It is in the form of what? It is in the form of thoughts. And therefore, definitely the thought is a perceiver. Thought is the perceiver, thought is a conscious entity. And that is correct. Thought is conscious, we know. Basically, consciousness is reflected in the mind and therefore, well, Chidabhasa will be formed, etc. And we know all this. But basically, they don't accept this. They say the thought is the consciousness. And therefore, and thought arises and dies, arises and dies. And therefore, consciousness, that is Atma, which is thought, nothing but the thought, and that also arises and dies, and that is Kshanikam, etc., temporary. Well, anyway, so scientists don't accept a mind other than the brain. Buddhist says the mind is consciousness, and Vedanta says, well, what? Vedanta says mind is different from this gross body, that is subtle body is different from the gross body, and also different from consciousness. In as much as basically, it is in as much as mind or the subtle body is very subtle, it's not visible. So we say that is how it is distinct from the gross body or physical body. So this body and the other world, of course, is made up of a gross visible matter, but mind is not made up of a gross visible matter, and therefore mind is distinct from gross body, subtle body is distinct from the gross body, also distinct from the consciousness. That's how we say. Well, but how will you prove then the mind is, if it is not a consciousness also, mind and or the subtle body, and you still claim, then if it is not a consciousness, then definitely it should be made up of matter. That's all the thing is. One thing is a matter, other thing is consciousness. What else other than third thing, other than these two, what is the third thing? Nothing. And therefore, basically, mind, we have to prove, we will have to include into the matter somehow. But we will give for that, we will give enough proof for that. But that cannot be the criteria that, the subtle body or the mind, etc., should be also perceived. If it is made up of elements, it must have all the attributes, and then sense organs should be able to perceive those attributes, and mind, etc., they are not perceived by the senses, etc., and therefore it doesn't have a guna, and it doesn't have a guna means then the elements also will not be there, because guna always rests in the element. If gunas are not there, elements are not there, and therefore mind, etc., is not made up of elements. This is a criteria, and we will have to put it into anatma somehow. We will have to throw it into the bag of anatma. If mind is atma, means gone. There is a question of moksha. We will have to forget it. Close the books. So, very ingeniously, this I don't think in Tattva Bodha we discuss. We took it for granted, subtle elements and all that. And it's fine. But this is Pancadasi. And therefore, here everything will be analyzed. Really, it will be analyzed. This is a part of Mananam. Please understand this. So once you do Shravanam, then you will wonder, wait a minute. How the mind, how the subtle body will be perceived, because it is not perceived by the senses, and then how will you call it as a bhautika element? Anyway, so spashta shabdadi yukteshu bhautikatvam atisfutam. The external gross world and this physical body, all are material in nature, and this is spashtam. And this is very evident. Atisfutam also means this is evident, because spashta shabdadi means visible, basically. So they can be perceived by the senses, and perceived by the senses senses perceive 5 gunas, etc. Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, and gandha. And so definitely the elements, the gunas reside in elements, and that's how, the external world and physical body is proven, made up of elements, that is proven. But mind does not have 5 gunas, and therefore sense organs do not perceive them. These 5 gunas are not there, and therefore entire Sukshma Shariram is not available for perception of senses. And not only that, they cannot be available for scientific instruments also. That's another thing. And sometimes it happens that if you are not able to see with your naked eye or with your ears, etc., you will have to take help of instruments. Like I am not able to see clearly with the eyes, then I definitely these glasses, and or some other instruments like a bacteria, virus, etc. If we want to see, well, even this kind of upakaranam also will not help. Then we will have to use another upakaranam, very sophisticated instruments, because our senses have a limited power. But this subtle body even not seen by the scientific instruments also, and that's how if it is seen by scientific instruments, any subtle body, then then scientists would believe in punarjanma. They would believe in rebirth, because they are waiting, that they want to see that the person who has died, from that subtle body has gone. They would like to. They are waiting, but they could not pick up. So not our senses and not even these instruments, that is called senses, or the instruments which are external in terms of all instruments, very sophisticated instruments also, one cannot prove the existence of subtle body, and therefore it is not available at all. Then how will you prove it is made up of elements? And they always say about this Ramana Maharshi and many other acharyas, all these great people, So they say we have seen the Ramana's subtle body going out, etc. That's lot people have believe so. So and it is leaving this physical body and going. So we totally reject all such descriptions, because Sukshma Shariram is Atindriyam. That's all. Whatever you do, whether you enhance your power of the senses also with the instrument, scientific instrument, still subtle body will never be available for perception. And second thing, the people who are singing the glory of a Ramana Maharshi, and to sing the glory, well, they say that they have seen that the Sukshma Sharira going and merging into some flame, etc. They say like that in space, and so some flame arises, and that's how they want to prove he was a great. He was a great, but this kind of a thing one should not tell. In as much as if Sukshma Sharira is leaving the body and going somewhere of a Ramana Maharshi, then the wisdom becomes in question. Wisdom of Ramana Maharshi becomes in question, because Upanishad clearly says for a wise person, his subtle body basically resolves into here itself. Atraiva asya pranaha samavaniyante. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad clearly it is told. Even in Prashnopanishad also it is there. So his pranas, his prana means his sense organs and everything, definitely resolves there itself. Means as the physical body is going to resolve, it takes time, but this subtle body is going to resolve there itself. Means it doesn't, his pranas do not come out, his subtle body do not come out and travel. If it is travel means what? Travel means what? Travel means it is in search of another physical body. If it is in a search of another physical body, well, where is the wisdom? Because we say a wise person definitely does not take birth again. And therefore, this kind of thing they should not tell, but they are telling. Anyway, that's up to them. But what I am saying is, subtle body is never available for perception. And that's how earlier I used to say, Indriyas are Atindriyas, but you can tell, or any Indriya, including mind also, nothing is available for basically for the perception. So Vidyaranya says, well, so there is no pratyaksha pramana. But wait a minute, somebody told me, that Swamiji, out of subtle body, what about prana? Prana, you are able to feel that your prana is going. No, that's a gross. That's a gross air which comes out. Not that. Prana, which is responsible for as a function in the body, physiological function, that is very subtle. That is not the gross entity. And therefore, including prana, entire subtle body, being subtle, not available for perception through the senses, or perception through the scientific instruments. That's enhanced perception. Through that also it is not available. because its nature is like that. So Vidyaranya says there is no pratyaksha pramanam naturally, because sense perception, it is not available for sense perception. So no, it is not available for pratyaksha pramanam, this sukshma sharira, because it is apratyaksha. And so sukshma sharira means it is made up of elements, etc. It is bhautikam. We have to establish, we made this much background in order to prove that sukshma shariram still it is made up of elements only through two other pramanams, through other two means of knowledge. One is a shastra and second is basically yukti, anumana pramanam. So akshadau api tat avadharyatam akshadau. I have told you aksha means a sense organ. So and adi padati, you can conclude, take everything in the subtle body. Aksha means a indriya, and then adi means etc means you can take mind, you can take prana, all this. So akshadau api, well you can prove akshadau means this is a vishay saptami. So akshadau vishay, with respect to this subtle body, with respect to the sense organs and organ of action, etc. Tat avadharyatam, tat means that bhautikatvam, made up, it is made up of the elements. Please avadharyatam, it should be ascertained by you that it is also made up of it is made up of elements. Why how do we ascertain that? Shastrena yuktya, by the means of knowledge called shastra, and by yukti. Yukti means by inference, etc. By anumana pramana. We'll see that how. So basically, this only two pramanams are available because pratyaksha is not available. And it should be like that. When pratyaksha is not in use, you have to use another pramanam. And it has the same validity as a pratyaksha, please understand. In morning only I gave an example, like, we from that our Coimbatore ashram, Anekatti ashram, they took us to because the Kerala border is very near. So just 7 kilometers, and that place is infested. I don't know that word. It's infested with the elephants and wild elephants. They always create a bhayam, fear in us. Don't go out of the ashram, and especially when because all brahmacharis wearing white, and therefore they always say, especially these wild elephants, when they see white dress, they literally run behind it. They chase that person and kill. Many people have been killed there, that's a different thing. But white dress, and therefore no brahmachari goes out of the ashram. They will walk in the ashram itself. Nobody roams around. That's how they used to control the people anyway. So what I'm saying is, and then one day our acharyas thought, let's take these brahmacharis to the, this in the jungle. And so we went near that Kerala border, we went to that place. It's a forest, and there is some, I think, a river, small river kind of thing also. And as we entered into the forest, we found a footprints of elephant, and also that excreta also, very fresh, lying in the, and therefore it proves that the elephant is around. It was there, but we could not see that. It was a big, bush, and so we could not see. But all the brahmacharis came out. You see, if I insist at that time, since I have not seen the elephant, well, I will not believe that the elephant is nearby. If I do like that, I would not survive. I would not survive. If I insist on seeing the elephant, well, I would not survive. I will have to use this pramanam called anumanam, that since his footprint is there and this excreta is lying around and that is fresh, therefore the elephant is around, that yukti, that anumanam is as valid as pratyaksha, and I have to run around. I have to go, I have to run from that place. So anumanam, some people feel anumanam means a yukti, inference, and that is not valid. Well, don't think that it is a belief. It's equally pramanam. Yes, when pratyaksha cannot work, where the senses cannot work, where the senses have a limitation, you will have to use this another pramanam, available to the human being, as available to you. And so here we are doing that. So mind, etc., the subtle body is elemental in origin. Why? Drishyatvat. Bas. This is our argument. Sukshma shariram bhautikam. Drishyatvat. Gatavat. So as the pot, right, this is an example. See, in Anumana Vakyam, there are a few things. We have discussed this in Kena Upanishad, if you remember in the beginning. Say, it has certain factors. So, that is, one is a paksha, second is a sadhyam, third is a hetu, and fourth is an example. If you remember, otherwise I will remind you now. So, Sukshma Shariram, about which we want to prove something, it is called paksha. A thing about which you want to prove something is called paksha. Then second thing is, what do you want to prove? That's called sadhya. Right? What do you prove? What do you want to prove about Sukshma Shariram? Well, we want to prove it is elemental, bhautikam. So, that is the second thing. Paksha, then sadhya. Then third thing is, well, how will you prove? You have to give some argument. That's reason. And so that is called hetu. And well, that is correct. You have given a hetu, but give some example, then we will assimilate it. So the example must be there. So four things are required. So Sukshma Shariram Bhautikam, right? Subtle body is elemental because, reason, right? The argument, because it is available for knowledge. It's an object of knowledge. How we will see that? It's an object of knowledge. An example, whatever is object of knowledge, well, definitely it is made up of elements. Right? So, you will have to say example, you have to give an example. So, gatavat, like a pot. A pot which is available for the senses, pot which is made up of elements, pot is an object of knowledge, and their pot is made up of elements, and therefore same way, if subtle body is an object of knowledge, then subtle body is also made up of elements. This is how we say. Abba. So because for pratyaksha it is not available, and therefore we'll have to go through this anuman, inference, yukti. These are same words. Either you call anumanam, either you call yukti, either you call reasoning. So this is one anuman. So Sukshma Shariram Bhautikam. So now you have to be, with the anumanam, etc., you should be, comfortable now, because these things appear again and again in the Shastra. And this particular means of knowledge we use, a lot of times. So you should be aware of these four things: Paksha, Sadhya, Hetu, and example called Drishtanta. So Sukshma Shariram Bhautikam, we have proving because Drishyatvat, because it is an object of knowledge, and Gatavat, like a pot. Then second anumanam also is there, because we have done a pratigna that we prove that the subtle body is made up of elements through two means of knowledge. One is yukti and one is shastra. So yukti means this reasoning, and so I am giving you reasoning. We'll be seeing in little detail, but right now you take it as it is. How do you say, Swamiji, subtle body is object of knowledge? You can ask me, right? But that I will tell you little later. Now the second anuman. Yat savikaram tat bhautikam sukshma shariram savikaratvat bhautikam gatavat. This is also there. Sukshma shariram bhautikam savikaratvat gatavat. One reason we have given drishyatvat, object of knowledge. Second is savikaratvat, changing. It's an amazing thing. If this is a bread and butter, what we are discussing, well, to show the Atma's distinction from the world, these are the very, very important arguments. Whatever is drishyam, that is not me. That we are saying also so many times. And anyway, so, but we are proving here subtle body is also object of knowledge, and therefore it is also made up of elements. That's one thing. Second thing is Sukshma Shariram Bhautikam. Again, Sukshma Sharira Paksha. Sadhya is Bhautikam. And what is the Hetu? What is the reason? Savikaratvat. Well, it is constantly changing. And give an example. Gatavat, we have our poor pot. Poor pot is all the time available. क्या करेंगे? In those days, acharyas have in their kutia, they used to have only one pot, nothing else. Therefore, all the time, whatever comes in their mind is this pot only. Anyway, the modern acharyas have different things. I can give this example also, but our poor pot is a very nice, it's a, it's an example which is available easily. So, Sukshma Shariram Bhautikam. This subtle body is made up of elements, savikaratvat, because it is all the time, it is subject to change. Like a pot which is subject to change, then it is made up of elements. Same way, mind and senses and everything is subject to change. That's our experience also, and therefore definitely it is also made up of elements. So this is a yukti, and Shastra also is there. And second very beautiful thing is subtle body is affected by the chemicals, which is made up of elements. That's very simple to understand. Mind also is affected by drugs, varieties of the medicines. That's how the person whose chemical balance is little lost, or it is a little imbalance, they give this medicines only, even small, tiny, very small. So, well, to bring the mind into a particular shape again, proper shape, well, they give chemicals. So that shows that, because like affects like. So we have discussed this. The things which are of a same reality can affect each other. Well, so if mind is affected by the chemicals or medicines, then definitely mind also must be bhautikam, because drugs or chemicals or medicines are all bhautikam. So anyway, so this is way also we can say. Not only for that, even there are medicines for our eyes also, improvement of the vision, etc., or for the ears, etc. So all this indicates, even for hunger also. For hunger also, for there are medicines. Also pranas are also affected. Anyway, so this is in general, we can say like that too. Now let's go to the verse number 18. Ekadash indriye yuktya shastrenapya avagamyate yavat kinchit bhaved etat idam shabdoditam jagat. Perhaps we may have to stop, because we'll have to do that Bhagavad Gita, that Parayanam 3 chapters. It may take some 20-25 minutes total perhaps, and so I'm sorry to stop here, but we should do that for Swamiji. So I'm stopping here. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.